Auschwitz. Auschwitz has become a form of a symbol, almost holy in a way. When we say the Holocaust, we think of this sign, Arbeit macht frei. We think about gas chambers, we think about selection. We know things, we have visuals in our minds. And why is that? It is possible that one of the main reasons is that it was so big. And it's also possible that upon liberation, there were survivors, quite a few of them. But to understand Auschwitz, we need to go back to the beginning. So Jan Karski stayed in barracks in Auschwitz that became eventually Auschwitz I. And Auschwitz grew and grew. The instruction to establish a concentration camp came in the spring of 1940, and it came from both the SS and the local police in occupied territories of Poland. Poland no longer existed at this point. What we had is the Generalgouvernement, for short, GG. The reasoning for this was prisons were overflowing. They were overflowing with Polish resistance members, with Polish intelligentsia. This had nothing to do with Jews or anything that Auschwitz then becomes a symbol for. So the thought of having a concentration camp like the Nazis had in Germany, like Dachau, or the ones that came right after Dachau. Dachau was established in 1933. So the concept of concentration camps already existed. This abandoned army base in Auschwitz seemed ideal. It is ready to use. There are 20 buildings, more than enough infrastructure to house prisoners. The request to open this as a concentration camp went through the chain of command because the Nazis do like some form of order. And the request lands on the Reichsführer SS Heinrich Himmler, very, very high ranking, who decides that, okay, this sounds like a logical thing to do. And yes, now to have a concentration camp, we also need to have somebody to run the camp. The person that was picked was SS Hauptsturmführer Rudolf Höss. Now, he's had experience in concentration camps before. He's already been in quite a few, commanding them. And he seems to be very methodically open to whatever expansions or decreases that the Reich requires. So on May 4th, 1940, Höss becomes the official commandant of Auschwitz. Auschwitz did start off as a concentration camp and then as a forced labor camp. But of course, it becomes a hybrid camp with killing as well. By the time the Nazis invade Hungary, the war machine, the killing machine is very well oiled. To the point where, in preparation to the invasion of Hungary, the train tracks that up until 1944 stop in Auschwitz station are now extended right into Auschwitz to Birkenau, which is why that gate is built with the arch so the train can go through it. This is to save time in the process. There's already an understanding that when the Hungarian deportations will begin, they will be fast and the process has to match that. As part of the growth of Auschwitz, there are more and more Nazi personnel working there. And some of them were assigned to create a gift to the Führer, to Hitler, a documentation of how well Auschwitz-Birkenau works. And over the span of 8 transports, which is about 3 days, 4 to 5 different Nazi officers go out with cameras and document the transports as they come in and most of the process. The first stage in selection is separating men from women in 2 lines. And you can see there are officers standing in the middle. But what we also see in this photo, which is important and interesting, is that we have people standing on the one side and on the other, facing each other. Why is this important? Because in many stories and in many testimonies, we hear, oh, Mengele or a Mengele-like person came and pointed left and pointed right. But what was life and what was to the gas chambers really depended on what side of the train you were. For some, left was gas chambers, for some it was right. In 1952, there's a bit of a archaeological dig in Auschwitz. And right outside the crematorium that was blown up, there were a few glass bottles hidden in the ground. And in one of them, there's a preview letter. Dear finder, please search every piece of this ground. We have laid the evidence down. We have kept evidence of what happened here. This will spread a light, a strong spotlight on what happened here. For us, there is no more hope. We don't really think we will ever see liberation. The future. The future will judge us upon these notes. This is just a small evidence to the tragic world we live in. Zalman Gradowski, 6th of September, 1944. So on the 16th of January, 1945, the Soviets are coming closer and closer to the Auschwitz area. But the war isn't over yet, and the Nazi machine still needs working hands. Whoever was capable, in their opinion, was evacuated out of Auschwitz. That's how the Nazis would like us to call it. We actually call it the death marches, because people were marched for days on ends, weeks on ends, and in one case, even months on end, to other labor camps, to other concentration camps. In Auschwitz itself, there are 7,000 inmates left behind. Some of them are incapable of moving or doing anything. Some of them pretend to be that way so that they don't have to go. And the Nazis leave. And as the Nazis leave, the Soviet army comes in on the 27th of January and liberates Auschwitz.